Hi all, welcome to my kitchen. Today, if you've seen the video and I've posted it, this is the week of, or the very last week of January. So it's I think it's the 28th is when I'm filming this video. You won't see it probably until the beginning of February because I've got other videos in between. But you saw the disaster using this guy, or me doing a video explaining I was going to use this guy to make fried pork chops, and then found out that my husband never took the pork chops out of the freezer, so I ended up making something else. Well, tonight, or today, we're going to be doing fried pork chops in the electric fry pan, and I'm going to show you how to do it. It's relatively simple. The whole meal from start to finish takes about an hour and 15 minutes. Approximately 15 minutes of prep time. Cook time is about an hour. There are a lot of things that you can make with it. You can make rice, mashed potatoes, you can do a vegetable, a salad if you want. There's a lot of things that you can serve with this. When my grandmother did this when I was little, she'd make fried pork chops, she'd make mashed potatoes, usually some sort of vegetable, whether it be green beans, sometimes it was Brussels sprouts, which back then I was not fond of, because she boiled them, and she used to con me into thinking they were baby cabbages, which they tasted nothing like cabbage. Or she'd make her spaghetti. Her spaghetti is a lot different than mine, but I actually do like her spaghetti, and I don't know, we might do that tonight. I'm also going to be making a meatloaf this week, so we're going to play with different recipes on whether or not I do that today or not. But anyway, the reason I am making the fried pork chops is I'm going to put you guys, hopefully you guys can see this. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it is actually snowing pretty heavy. And you can tell that my eggs, that's the mini, and the one back there is the large, have a lot of snow cover on them. It's a lot harder when the weather is not cooperating for me to light the grills and for the grills to get hot. Usually if it's snowing like this, or if it's raining, I will make something indoors versus outdoors, just because I don't feel like dealing with the climate and the weather outside. So tonight we're going to be using the electric fry pan. I've got my pork chops in the refrigerator. I'm going to show you how we do it, but not right this second. It's only 1:48 p.m. Where I am, so we're not going to have dinner until a lot later. So probably maybe in 3 hours, I'll come back and show you how to do it. This very easy process. You need an electric fry pan, obviously, or a pan that will work as a fry pan. Pork chops, I have 2 bone-in pork chops. They're extra thick. If you do the bone-in, but you do the thin sliced, this recipe is a little harder because the thinner the pork chop, the quicker they're going to cook, and the quicker they're going to dry out. So when looking for good pork chops, what to look for: if you want good taste, they do make boneless pork chops, and I never had a problem with boneless pork chops. The only thing with boneless pork chops and me is they have a tendency to really, really dry out, and they dry out very quickly. That's just a fact. Flavor-wise, I always find that having a bone-in makes the food taste a little bit better, because you got the more flavors with the bone. The bone-in also holds the pork chop together, and you'll see why this is kind of important versus, you can, like I said, do this boneless. You're just going to have a drier pork chop. You're going to need flour, salt and pepper, and oil. Now, the oil is very important. You can use olive oil. I don't. I use the vegetable oil or a Crisco. Just make sure if you're using Crisco that you use the non-flavored, that you use the straight Crisco. Sometimes, and I have not done this in a very long time, but you can use lard. Just keep in mind if you use lard, you've got a lot of saturated fat with this. So we're going to try to keep the cholesterol level down, and we're going to use just an all-purpose vegetable oil. And that's pretty much all you're going to need for this recipe. So I'll be back in a while to show you how we start. Okay, I'm back. You might have noticed time has not changed that much. It's actually been about 3 minutes, and then I remembered I forgot something. It's going on 2 o'clock. If I want to do this dinner or have this dinner ready by 6:30, I'm going to want to take my pork chops out of the refrigerator around 4 o'clock. The reason I'm taking them out at 4 o'clock is I want them to be a nice temperature for when they hit the really hot fry pan. You don't want to put ice cold meat, and we've talked about this in my other roasting videos. You're going to want your meat to come up to more of a room temperature. For a bone-in pork chop, it'll take approximately an hour. You could even go a little bit longer. An hour is usually pretty good. Half an hour before you start the meal, what we're going to do is we're going to salt and pepper and flour both sides of the pork chop, and we're going to allow that to sit out for another half an hour. So 4 o'clock, if I take the pork chops out, they'll be ready for the fry pan by 5:30, which means we'll be eating between 6:30 and 6:45. So that'll give you kind of an estimate of how your meal is going to go. What am I going to make with this? I think I am going to make mashed potatoes. I'm not sure. I don't have a lot of sour cream left. And my potatoes are kind of starting to get sad looking. If your potatoes start to get sad looking where they're growing or they're shriveling, usually that means that they're in a too warm of a climate or a warm area of the house. Ideally, when you buy potatoes from the grocery store, you want to store them in a cool, dark room. You do not want them to have sunlight, and you don't want them to have a lot of heat. That will start growing them. Also, another thing that will start a potato growing is if you keep your potatoes and your onions in the same place. The onions will actually cause your potatoes to start the growing process. Don't ask me how, but scientific, you can look through YouTube and find videos. But it's a good idea if you have a nice, dark, cool place. Don't put them outside, obviously. It's snowing here, so if I put them outside, my potatoes would freeze and they would become no good to use. But if you have a nice, cool basement where you can put potatoes, you can put onion, garlic. Just keep in mind, onions and garlic are not good for our pets. If you have cats, dogs, those are things that you want your animals not to be able to get a hold of because it can kill them. So I'm going to check my potatoes, and if my potatoes look bad and I can't use them, then I'll go a different way, and I'll let you know what happened. So stay tuned.